Welcome back to Have Roots Will Travel. We are in episode 3 of Searching for Canada through the Census. We have done 1851 and 1861, and this is the one that is going to focus on the very first census taken after Canadian Confederation. So it's a very exciting one. So let's get started and explore 1871 Canada. So now we are at the 1871 Canada Census. And so this is the very first one taken after Confederation when Canada became a country. So this is a very important one for many reasons, because now Canada could be seen as an entity and not just an offshoot of Great Britain. So let's have a look at the decade prior to 1871, which was a very important one. We have 1862, U.S. paper money is first issued. 1863, the U.S. Emancipation Proclamation becomes law. In 1867, a couple things. Russia sells Alaska to the U.S., if you can believe it, in 1866 for Confederation. 1867, John A. Macdonald is elected our very first prime minister. In 1867, Remington and Sons developed the first typewriter. I mean, you'd think that that was a small thing, but think about it. You could now really communicate. 1869, the territory of Wyoming allows women to vote. This is monumental. And then we have 1869, the Suez Canal opens, paving the way for a lot easier transport of goods. 1869, a transcontinental railroad is finally done. In 1869, Ulysses S. Grant is elected president. And in 1870, the 4 provinces become 5 when Manitoba joins Confederation. So in 1871, they finally figured out that maybe it wasn't such a good idea to take censuses in January in Canada. And they've decided April 2nd, 1871. The population, when all is said and done, was 3.6 million. It included only Ontario, Quebec, New Brunswick, and Nova Scotia, because Manitoba had to have their own census taken upon admission into Canada. So column 1 is interesting. It says numbered in the order of visitation vessels. What if you were taking a census and there was a boat? You needed to put it down. The number in the order of visitation, shanties. The numbered in our order of visitation, dwelling houses in construction. Dwelling houses uninhabited for column 4. For column 5, dwelling houses. So it became very, very specific. Column 6, numbered in the order of visitation, families. We wanted the names of the people in column 7. Column 8, the sex. Column 9, age. Column 10, born within the last 12 months. So in column 11, we're looking at the country or province of birth. In column 12, religion. In column 13, we want to know the origin. Are they Scottish? Are they French? From what group of people do they come from? Are they Irish? That sort of thing. Column 14, we want to know profession, occupation, or trade. So the next set of questions deals with the education and marital status. Column 15, married or widowed. Think about it. We're finally asking, are they widowed? Column 16, married within the last 12 months. Column 17, instruction. Are they going to school? Column 18 and column 19, are they over 20 years old and unable to read or unable to write? Canada has a tendency to really focus in on that education much more than, let's say, in America. Whenever I've looked at census for the United States, it does say read or write, but it's not as intrinsically as focused on that, which is kind of an indication of how important this is viewed by those Canadian authorities. Infirmities, we want to know in column 20, deaf and dumb. Column 21, are they blind? In column 22, are they of unsound mind? And you see the questions of male and female. We've put it kind of together now. So we're not as concerned about the actual, are they a sex, are they deaf and dumb female, deaf and dumb male. So we're kind of confirming it is important, but it's not as precise as it used to be. So Adeline is now married in the 1871 census. You see how following a family through the census really tells the story. So Adeline and William Andrews are now together. They're living in Richmond, and they do have 2 children already. They were married about 1866, I believe. And it tells us what religion they are, and it tells us that they're English, and that he was a farmer, they're married, that sort of thing. And let's have a look at my French Canadian great grandma and see where she's at. So Emily is also married, and she's married to Alfred Lefebvre Boulanger. But in an interesting kind of observation, they are actually living with my 3 times great grandfather, Célestin Lefebvre Boulanger. And so that is kind of an interesting, so you get even more. You never know what you're going to end up when you're looking at the census. And so you have to see within that. They're newly married. They're both 22 years old, and they are absolutely, they're Catholic, and they definitely are part of, they can read, can write, that sort of thing. And I hope you've enjoyed episode 3 of the 1871 census. I want to give you a little bit of resources before we end. Counting Canada, a genealogical guide to the Canadian census by daveobee. Phenomenal read. I've posted the links for you to be able to obtain your own copy. And then we have Ancestry.com and also CA to look at the actual schedules of the actual census. We have MyHeritage, which also features some, and Family Search. We have the Olive Tree Genealogy, which is a Canadian-based website that I really like. And of course, we have the Government of Canada, Library and Archives Canada. So all of that is further resources for you to find your people. So let's continue our study as we look at the 1881 census. So I will see you on episode 4 of Searching for Canada.